listeners, welcome back to Females Doing Cool Shit. We are hitting episode 10 already, and I'm so excited to be here again today. I love this space. I love learning from other women and sharing their journeys and their stories in hope to motivate and inspire other women to feel the same and to feel like they can fuck the fear off and do it anyway. So today I have Brooke here. Hey, Brookie.
Hey.
So, Brooke, how did I even meet you? Actually, I know. So, Sarah, who did episode 1 with me, I put a little story on Instagram and I was like, I need an accountant for my business. Who do I talk to? Who do I go to? And she was like, she saved me out of all of this debt. She is a beautiful woman. Go and follow her on Instagram. And that's what happened. I followed you and then here we are today.
I love it. Sarah's amazing, isn't she?
Isn't she?
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Love her. And I was really looking for like a female to work with. I love men, no hats off to men, but I think I just connect on a deeper level with women, and all of my staff are women. I'm just probably that's why I'm single. I'm just around women all the time. Pity I'm not a lesbian, but so that's how I met you. And tell us a bit about you and who you are.
So I'm Brooke. I am an accountant. I run a accounting and advisory practice in Batinia. I obviously specialise in tax, advisory, bookkeeping, all of that, but my passion comes with helping women and connecting women together. We've created this space where kind of like what you were looking for, right? This advisor that you could probably connect with and somebody that understands what you're going through, what you've been through. So, yeah, just creating this space where finance is it's a less vulnerable conversation in our practice, I would say, is once we break down those walls, it's just a safe space to teach you, to empower you, and take care of all of that behind the scenes. So in terms of what I do for a living, I get to live my passion through my practice, and I love that. But otherwise, I would say I am a dog mom. I love being outside. I'm incredibly busy brain, so I feel
active.
Active.
But physically and mentally?
Yes.
You're in all these different gyms. I see you bike riding down these rocky terrains. I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to crack your skull open.
It's actually like I'm super safe. I'm like this nana on the bike, to be fair, but
ding, 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 down every little rock.
I just love it. I feel like that's where I actually get to recharge my batteries, is being out in nature. So when I have spare time, that's what I'm doing.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. So when you were talking before, I was actually thinking about high school and my senior subjects, and it was never really spoken about when we discussed tax.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there was a subject there somewhere in the curriculum, but coming from an education background, I mean, I was primary school focused and I worked within the special education department. But it's not really a big thing teaching kids about your taxes. And
no.
I have to say, I know this is a safe space. I don't, that's why I'm signing up to you to help me monthly, because it's not really something that I don't have a lot of knowledge on it.
I think there's such a gap in our curriculum. And to be honest, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I would want to be helping teenagers to have that education and the supporting of the entrepreneurial mindset. I think that there is such a gap with what we have here in Australia, even at university. Like, I didn't learn what I do now in my degree, honestly. Like, there's such a gap. And I think it's not just about taxes, it's about what is debt? How do we control debt? How do we use it wisely? Like, what is a business? How do we get started? Why we shouldn't be scared to get started. Taxes, like what you were saying, I think like people are terrified of tax, and I can understand why, because if you don't know what you don't know, like you have to pay all this money, but it's actually like you pay money if you're earning money. So it's like, how do we actually change that narrative and just get some controls and some tools in place to make sure that we're being proactive with that in the background while we're earning money so that we don't fall behind? Like, there's just really simple things that I think can be done in our education system.
Do you ever feel like you could go into that space where you gather, say like a workshop, where you gather women in business together and you are teaching them this knowledge? Or is it...
I would love to.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to. And what we do is when we work with people, it's very specific to their situation, but we can still be general in the way that we can advise in a workshop environment. Absolutely.
And your practice has grown.
Oh,
rapidly.
my gosh.
I love all the pics on Insta of like you squished in this little room. It looks like you're in like some third world country all squished together. You've got your old laptops all over each other. It's so cute. And
It is.
now,
It's mad. Like there's 19 of us on the payroll. What?
19?
I feel like I'm like this. I'm like just walking around blindly. It happened overnight. I feel, 2 years in to have that many.
2 years, babe.
2 years. Crazy. But it's honestly like my pride and joy. I just love, I think that's also why we created Fenwick Collective, was not just to help anyone in business. My passion comes through supporting women. But for me, with the journey that I've had in my career to date, I just wanted to create something different for anyone, but particularly females in the industry. Like corporate it's tough out there when you're a girl. Like it is so tough. So seeing my team, I get goosebumps, seeing my team come in and what they are doing in the short time that they've been part of Fenwick Collective is, you don't see that. And I think it's because we've created this just like really beautiful space to support them.
And that it's safe.
It is very safe, and there is progression in any area that you want it. If someone comes and tells me that this is what they want to be doing in the next however many years or months or whatever, I'm like, well, that's my job. That is, I am responsible to create that pathway.
And to support that.
Like
as a leader.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't take that lightly, that they put their trust in. They've chosen Dale and I to nurture their career. Like it is a huge responsibility for me. But to be able to just like see my team do what they do, and we all share the same values. When I hire people, I hire based on character, based on energy, and based on passion. And I think that like that vibe check, like that's so
I'm like
important.
thinking about all the girls, because I think I've got 16 girls.
Yeah.
And a boy. I've got a boy, Caleb. And I feel that way too.
Yeah.
It's completely the vibe and the energy and how you feel.
You can teach anyone, right, to do what you need to do. But I think like if they've got the right energy, the right character, the right values.
Passion comes from that fire.
100%. You can't teach passion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I think that's why our practice, where like they're an extension of my family, and it is like a family when you walk in. I love it. I'm so proud of it.
Oh, I want to hug you. That's just so beautiful. Because, we talk about the burnout and how, we've got to, when we're working within our jobs, we need to see it just as our job. But then it transitions into becoming a part of your life and who you are and your values and your morals. And it's hard to find that middle ground where you're like, okay, there's work and there's my personal life. But to me, my two businesses have just like blended into who I am too. But I find myself okay with that. Is that weird to say out loud? Like,
no, it's not weird at all. I think like when you get to live your purpose, live your passion, like it is so villainized when that becomes a bit of your identity. But I think that's what makes us really good at what we do.
Yeah.
I think burnout is that, like, I think there's definitely separation between just being a really passionate person that just wants to do really well and loves what they do, lives and breathes it, and then doesn't know when to stop when you're nearing that, like,
is that us?
Crash. Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
it's
that's us.
like I said the other day, it is like my toxic trait because I love what I do. I could do it every day. But also like our brain only has so much capacity and we only have so much energy to exert as empathetic people as well. So it's rough. I like teeter on that burnout boundary way more often than what I should. So
I would say that I hit burnout, like a really rock bottom, I would say maybe like 2 months ago. I was finding it really hard to get out of bed. Coming from someone who's like 3 a.m. body clock, 4 a.m. I'm running, like 5 a.m. I'm checking work emails, getting the girls ready for school. Like I'm on my shit most days. And there was a period of about 2 weeks where I was just like, can't be fucked. I was like delegating every job to everyone else. And I was sitting in this space like, is this really what I want to do? Like, what am I doing? And then it just took me to sit in the mud and realize that it's okay to feel that way and that it's okay that I will get out of that now I'm back. Like I love what I do. Yeah. Any like suggestions of what you would do? This was totally not on topic.
No, that's
our questions. But any suggestions of what you would say to a woman in business who has hit burnout? Because I know that you're super passionate about it. I know that you run days where you get all your staff together and it's like totally not even about work. You're moving, you're connecting,
Yeah.
What would you say to a woman who has found herself in that space?
Like I said, like I'm notorious for regularly getting to that space, and I'm not really proud of that because I also think that has ripple-on effects for us as women.
How do you know that you're in that space?
So
what are the signs?
Exhaustion, like that one, like when you get out of bed, you're just tired. For me, I'm like a very passionate but very highly emotional person, and I can feel it when it's coming, and I'm just like walking around like a zombie. I recently implemented some boundaries in my life, which I'm only a few weeks in, but I feel like a different human being already. It's actually, I'm hoping I can just have some consistency with that, and that was just around having set times for when I see clients, which is still, there's plenty of capacity for that, but it's within times where I think it's quite reasonable, 8:30 till 3:30, because from 4 o'clock, that's my time to focus on my health, because our health is just everything. If we don't have it, what's the point? So I work really hard when I'm at work, and I've just recently started just making sure I move my body after 4 p.m. and then trying, in winter it's tough, but trying to see sunset. That feels like a really, like a big luxury for me. And then being energized enough to cook dinner. I know that sounds really...
No, I feel that.
But it has been a luxury, and it really shouldn't be. That just should be something that we get to, have that time and energy to do.
Does cooking make you happy?
It's like my meditation.
Same.
And I love it when I'm cooking like 5 different things.
Yes.
As somebody who's got ADHD,
yes,
that is the one thing that I can tune out when I'm doing is cooking. And I feel like I've lost that while I've been running a business, because I'm just like working till crazy hours of the night. So that's been my routine lately, and I would say that like...
So 3 focuses you've got.
Yeah. So obviously like I love what I do, and it's been really hard to tell myself that I can still love what I do, but I just need a little bit more time for me to focus on my health, movement, and nourishing your body with good food.
Good food.
I've recently got a like a mindset and health coach, Coach Izzy. She's amazing, and she's just like given me these like rules of the day, and it's basically all about nourishing and looking after yourself. So having an accountability person to keep you in check when you run a business is
huge.
Huge.
Yeah. That's amazing. I know last night I put a photo on Instagram of this meal that I cooked with the girls, and I also made myself vegan soup, so the girls were helping me chop all the veggies. And I actually sat there last night and thought about it. I don't remember the last time I cooked a meal at home with my children.
Isn't that crazy?
So last night, I mean, I know we were just in Bali for 10 days, but last night was the first time in months, because I'm like, I'll just grab them sushi on the way home.
Yeah.
Because it gives me more time to work or more time to do something else. It's
crazy, right? Like, yeah. So, and like, that's what I was saying. It's hard when you love what you do, and then we villainize it when we do it too much. But actually, like, I think there's this really nice in-between stage. I think it's this thing that people call balance.
Yes.
I don't know what that is, but that's what I'm
trying to find it.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever such a
being able to identify that and then work on that, though, that's the first step, right?
Sure.
Because some people just will go years and years and years, and that's when they hit that extreme burnout where their whole world, they've lost all their friends, they've lost family members. I know that I'm visualizing a woman that I used to work with who lost her kids, lost her husband. Yeah. The world turned to absolute shit for her because she was at school from like 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. at night, working her ass off 5 days a week for years and years. And that was me when I was teaching. I would rock up to school and my girls prep and year 3, and they would have their breakfast in a bowl, and it was 10 to 6 in the morning. And like no shoes on, they had to do that in the classroom. And I would be there until 5 o'clock at night. Like extreme burnout was going to happen there for me. But identifying it and focusing on those things, definitely nourishing your soul. That's for sure.
And I think that's self-care, right? Like I'm not a bubble bath. That's not my version of self-care. I think it's addressing those things and making time and just, if it's, reviewing your budget or like cooking your food, like not outsourcing everything, like having some of those things for you to, I guess, like restore your own energy.
For sure.
That's been what's working for me at the moment.
So over those 2 years, would you say that you faced any like rock bottom moments where you had to sit in the mud and reassess and go, what's happening here?
In April this year.
Okay.
I didn't realise what was happening at the time, but it was a bit of a nervous breakdown. Like I burnt out really bad. It was just from like I wear a lot of different hats in my business, but also in my family life as well, where I'm kind of a bit of the rock for everyone. So there was just like pressures everywhere, and it just combusted me. Like I just went from being a happy, functioning human to not sleeping, having panic attacks on the way to work. I didn't know what they were at the time. And yeah, it just happened overnight. But I got help where I needed help to get me to this point today. Like, and within 6 weeks of having support and accountability, it got me back to a good level of.
Do you think it's because like this day and age we're so accessible? Like
Yes.
when you have your phone, I find it funny. Like I go to say, sorry, I missed your call, when it's like, hang on.
Yeah.
I may have been on the toilet doing a wee.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be sorry to miss your calls.
Yeah.
Sorry I didn't call you back yesterday because I was doing this. What, like we're just so accessible from everyone. Social media.
Yeah.
People calling us.
Yeah.
Like I love my mum, but she calls me every day, and if I don't answer, are you okay? Are you okay? Ring, 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 ring like 10 times. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I'm okay. I'm just in a meeting. Like
Yeah. I think that is part of the problem, right? Like, and if you show up and put something on your story but you haven't replied to people, oh God.
You know, the best thing I ever did was I took off read receipts on Instagram.
Oh, you can do that?
Oh, yeah. No one knows if you've read their message or not.
No way. And it's because, like, it's not a disrespect thing. It's just,
No.
like, if you...
Boundaries.
Exactly. And, like, you want to respond to somebody with your, like, most amount of attention. And when you're in, like, 10% charge, like, it is hard to do that. So,
Yeah.
I get that.
I now say to my friends, if I don't respond to you in 2 to 3 business days, that's just how I roll now. And my family, that's 2 to 3 business days. That's just how it has to work now.
Yeah.
And I would never take offense. Like if I messaged you or if I messaged someone where I needed something or an email, even a business email, I just wouldn't be offended if somebody didn't reply for a few days. It's just the world that we live in now.
Happens. Yeah.
But even being a business owner, if somebody emails me, I had an email from a client the other day and it was at 10 a.m. and then I got another email at 11:30 a.m. Can you please reply to my email? And I was like, babes, that's an hour and a half. Like, give me at least 1 business day. Like, minimum, please. Like,
it's just a respect thing, I think.
yeah. So you found yourself in rock bottom. You've done everything you can to bring yourself back up.
Yeah.
When you flip that and you look at your business over the past 2 years, what's a moment where you're like, this is, like, I'm meant to be here. This is it for me.
I think day one. Honestly,
Day one. So cool.
I think because I went through such a like a tumultuous roller coaster for my career, just having the respect that I was promised and deserved, not having that to seeing how like it's really not that hard to just be a good person and run a good business. Like I think I just knew from day one. I was so scared because I was incredibly I would say risk adverse. Just coming from a background where we didn't have any money growing up, I had probably a lot of trauma attached to the safety of a paycheck. So when Dale wanted to set up this business like 5 years ago, and I was like, absolutely not a chance. To see overnight the influx of inquiries, honestly, it was mental to see the support and how much people were really wanting to know about Fenwick Collective and what we were doing. And
I think also too it comes with who you are and Dale too. Like when you talk about what you look for in somebody that you hire and your team, obviously, I feel like I look for that in somebody that I'm going to give business to. Yeah. And I found that with you. Like just it's who you are too. Like
I think it's just like honestly, it's really not that deep. You just have to like give a shit about what you do and the people who you work with who also support you. Like I think you just have to care.
Yes.
And if you don't,
people won't give you business again.
Yeah, like it's really...
And people talk in a community. Like people will talk. And if you're not going to support the people who are giving you business, well, good luck because, I couldn't agree more.
Support those who support you, honestly.
I love that.
Yeah.
I find that that's what females doing cool shit. That's what I'm trying to...
You're nailing it.
I'm just really trying to sit in that space because I would prefer my money going to women on the coast rather than outsourcing somebody in, I don't know, Melbourne to do my taxes for me or the little shop that I drive past. Like I feel like that's what I'm trying to do in this space.
You're doing a really good job. The room on Saturday was just electric. The connection and the amount of people who didn't have their phones out taking videos and photos. Like I have nothing to look back on, and none of my friends that were with me had anything. And it's because we were just so
seizing the moment
and genuinely interested in listening to each other and the support on the back of that. I was on my phone all day Sunday.
Just getting messages
and talking to new friends.
Yes.
And like wanting to support each other. It was beautiful.
So let's bring it back to day one.
Yeah.
What did day one look like for you?
Oh my gosh, turbo chaos. So like 2 years ago, my husband Dale and I and my sister, who was our first employee, we were in our back bedroom at my house that is now an Airbnb, and we were renovating. So like quite literally we had live wires hanging from the ceilings, like chipped paint. We were in this 3x3 bedroom, the three of us sharing one big table.
I love the photo of that. That's what I mean. Like it looked third world. Like it was like you were in like the back shed of something. I loved it.
It was like the house was falling apart. My dog was digging holes out the side of our like office window. And like we're answering inquiries, like trying to get our system set up. And it was like, oh my God, like how are we going to do this? And we just did it. Like I will not sugarcoat the hustle. We did not have a day off for 6 months. Like, because we love what we do, but also when you start a business, if you want to grow it and scale it,
you're hustling.
Like you're not
replying to every email on time. You're like, you're pushing.
Yeah. So it was like full on, and I loved it. I often look back and I'm like, I don't know how we did that. Like,
did you thrive off the chaos?
Yeah.
Like you and I, we're the same human. Like
it's a dangerous space for me to be too quiet.
Yes.
I'm not good at that. Like I'm not good at that. Like my mind goes
onto the next thing
or a little bit. Like when it's too peaceful up there, I'm chasing down something else pretty quickly. So
there's a lot about the hustle now online, which I get. Everyone's all about the balance. But when people say to me, like, I only started Thrift I rebranded in January. How did it get to you having all these shops and all of this stuff? And I just said, it's the hustle. Yeah. I have worked 16-hour days. I will not sugarcoat it to you. Yeah. And no, I'm not lucky. I've worked my ass off.
Oh, when people say you're so lucky. I'm like, I'm very lucky. I get to live on the Sunshine Coast and have the opportunities that I've created. Yes. But luck, it's not luck. It is hard work. It is grit, determination, resilience. You've just got to battle.
Support team, everything.
It's every day feels like a battle sometimes, but like, yeah.
And when you have to get really good at problem solving.
Absolutely. That's your job.
And standing up for yourself.
As a woman, absolutely.
100%.
Oh, girl, I didn't sign a lease because I was in a standoff with this 80-year-old man who thought I was coming to the table to sign a lease because I was the interior designer. And I was like, no, I'm actually a partner in the practice and Dale's my husband, but we are 50-50. Oh, no. You couldn't be. 50-50? And I was like, at a spot, I'm not signing your lease.
See ya. Wow, you couldn't be. They were his words.
Oh,
he's 80.
Doesn't get it. But
doesn't get it.
I think we still struggle with that still. I still have to sometimes like go, excuse me, actually, like I have a voice too. Dale is a business, like we're 50-50 here. So like please stop cutting me out of correspondence.
With going into business with your husband, how have you found separating work life and good question. We don't.
Yeah.
We have sex in the office. Kidding, guys.
Oh my God, it's an HR issue. You're going to get me arrested.
But like, how do you separate if you work with these? Like, do you make time? I know that you go outside and do your down the rock climbing terrain together. But like, do you go out for dates?
Like we I think because we don't know any different, we met on our first accounting job together and we've worked together ever since. But we definitely like it creeps into our everyday life, but we still like make time to enjoy it. Like, and if it creeps in, but we're constantly doing things together. Like we're kind of like a bit of a package deal. Like we're best friends. We love spending time together, just doing, we have all the same
But you go to
interests.
concerts together. You
like we went to Missy, like I don't know who I am, but we went to Missy Higgins for my 31st birthday. What the hell? That day we found tickets on Marketplace and we're like, we forgot my birthday, so let's go. And like we just love the same things, which I'm very lucky because yeah, I get to spend and enjoy all of these little moments, these like which are the most important ones.
Yeah.
Together. So like we don't have like separation when it creeps in, but I guess like because we both love what we do. It's fun. Running a business is fun.
How cool is it?
It's so fun.
I explained to a girlfriend last night, it's like you are the creator, you are the creative director of your world.
Yeah. Yeah.
People like Emily, my Brisbane manager, she rings me every morning and she's like, hey, what are you doing today? Tell me about your day. Like she just thrives off the chaos that I've got.
Yeah.
I was sitting in the car park this morning talking to her and she's like, oh, and then who are you interviewing? What are you doing after that? Like I just love that it's so, you just make it what you make it.
100%. It's so fun. And I think like I'm very passionate about what I do, but I also love running a business and taking risks and seeing them pay off. And if they don't, like learning from that. And then it just evolves from there, right? Like I think that's the opportunities we get to create for ourselves when we get to, you know, choose what we do in our day.
And take those risks. I always talk about it being like a brick wall and every risk you take is like a little brick and it just slowly piles up, and even if it doesn't work out, it's still there and it's still teaching you to become this all-rounded, incredible businesswoman. And I have no business background, like zero. I come from education. Like I did 10 years at uni. I did a thesis, like a 10,000 word research essay on education. And then to be thrown into the business world, I've got my parents, I've got my brother and my sister who lives in LA. They all help me, but I find that it's just taking risks.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But you are an incredible businesswoman.
Really?
Like I'm so
love
proud
That's so nice
to watch what you
to hear
do.
That from you.
Like you look at how much you've scaled in such a short amount of time.
But it's risk. It's just risk.
It is. But I think you give a shit. But I also think the thing that I can really relate to you on, and not to toot my own horn, but I think I do the same thing you do. You don't overthink things. Just follow your intuition and take a chance. And don't overthink. I think that's the thing that when you run a business, you have to be able to think quick and move fast. It's like a game. If you, and I hate the feeling of missing opportunity. If you spend too much time dotting your I's, crossing your T's, getting everything perfect, looking at the numbers and thinking too much and living in all of that data, you don't get to
anxious and worried.
And you just miss potential opportunities. I think making quick decisions and just following that intuition and moving fast.
Well, thinking about Kawana Shop, right? We've been open a few months now.
Yeah.
When I was interested, every single person in my life, including my parents, said to me, what are you doing? Just focus on Noosa. And I could not sit still.
No.
And then I was like, maybe, yeah, I'm doing it. It literally took me 2 days to go, I'll sign the lease, let's go. Yeah. And it's sold out month after month after month.
So
There's
good.
women, there is a woman in there this month who's made $3,000 for the month, and she's sharing a rack with someone.
That's wild.
I don't know, it just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's amazing what you've created. And I think it's because you're not scared to take a chance.
Yeah.
And that's business. You have to be successful business owners. You have to be okay with failure. And you have to be okay that if you take that chance, you move fast, it could pay off really well. Do your due diligence to, obviously, I'm a big believer in that. But, I think knowing that it's not going to be perfect, learning from those things that, pop up along the way.
What's your thoughts on debt?
Debt? It depends. I think that, for me, I have a lot of debt in my life because I have investments that I wouldn't have been able to have started with if I didn't have debt. So that's mortgage. I also had to buy my client base when I left my previous firm to get started to avoid lawsuits. So I had to have a portion of that was loan. And that's allowed me to then make more money, get more capital growth in my properties. Like, I think it's, if you have debt for the right reasons, calculated reasons, I think debt is something you don't just move on quickly. You have to probably sit with a professional to run through the risks of that, how you're going to pay it off, and making sure that it fits into your actual serviceability of whether it's business loan, personal loan, like whatever it is. Like, I think it's really important to make sure you're educated and you have a plan in place for debt. But I think debt for the right reasons can set up opportunity in the future.
I love that outlook because, like, I'll be vulnerable and open here. At the moment, I'm in zero debt. Like, I don't owe any money on my car. I don't owe any money on the house that I live in because my parents own it. I don't owe any money in my business. And I recently went to a seminar on the Gold Coast or Brisbane, and they said that the most wealthy people in the world are in the biggest amount of debt. And I was sitting there like, shit, should I be in debt? Like, I'm fully afraid of debt.
I think it ultimately depends on what your goals are. So for me, property is like, I feel very safe in my my choices with the way that I invest in property. I love property economics. It's like a weird hobby of mine.
I love you. You're so clever. You're so smart.
Thanks.
What even does that mean?
I just love following the market and understanding trends, and for me, property feels very safe. Like, your risk profile would be potentially completely different to mine, but I bought my first home when I was 21, which for me, coming from a background with no money growing up, was
huge.
It was huge. Dale and I
That's something to be very, very proud of.
I was so proud. But we also bought something that was within our means. Like, quite literally, we were scrolling price lowest to highest on the Sunshine Coast, and we bought our first home in Nambour. And it was, you basically would have either gutted the whole thing or knocked it down. We walked in and a splashback tile fell off the wall. We had to occy strap the oven. It was on a sloping block, intense, and we couldn't even walk up the driveway. There was so much moss on it. It was so
purchased it?
We did, because that's all we could afford.
Wow. Yeah.
And we had to start somewhere. But had I have not got myself into obviously some form of debt, I would never have been able to have started my property portfolio without that first purchase. We renovated for 5 years, blood, sweat, tears. And then we bought our property that's in Watala, which is it's an Airbnb now, and we've got other properties. It's
amazing.
I'm super proud of it, but debt has allowed us to do that. So I think you've got to just look at it
from a different lens.
Yeah, and it ultimately depends. Some people get into debt to buy a business or to start a business. I think you have to have a cash flow forecast to understand how you'll repay that debt. But obviously, no debt is a nice place to be. It's a good place to be.
In saying that, though, I sold my house with my ex-husband, so I had money there.
Yeah.
And so my parents own multiple houses on the coast, and they're like, why buy a house when we can give you one? So I was like, that's lovely. Thank you, Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
So I had to I wanted to put my money somewhere, so it was towards my businesses.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? I think it depends on what your goals are.
Yeah.
And having the right advisors to make sure that your debt is going to work for you is important as well.
I could talk about this topic all day.
Yeah, same.
Your future, where do you see your business going? Where I know that you're so content with your life and you love your life so deeply.
Yeah.
Is there, for Fenwick Collective, is there growth? Is there scale? I know you've already seen so much growth over the past 2 years, but what's your vision for the business?
So for us, making impact on a greater scale is our kind of a bit of our mission statement. We just want to be able to help as many people sleep better at night, basically, and grow their businesses if that's what they want to do on scale. So for us, there is growth plans. I also really would like to set up other locations in regional towns to help, I guess, gentrify finance and accounting in those locations. I'm from a country town, and I know that there's nothing like Fenwick Collective there. And I just think that there's so many women now. If you look back in the last 10, 20 years, there's so many women running businesses, and I just think that having advisors that can connect and relate and make them feel supported is so important.
When you look at the statistics of how many CEO females there are, it's literally so low.
Yeah,
And
100%.
female CEOs that run successful businesses, very low.
I know. And I get to work with so many of them.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like startups to large businesses, I get to work with like CEOs all in between. And I just love it. It just is amazing to see. But I want to do that on greater scale. So growing our team in a way that obviously continues to align with our values is going to be our hardest component of scaling, because we haven't found any accountants in that senior level that are willing to change the way that they do accounting to the way we do accounting. I have had one, Tegan, who is looking to obviously grow her base and buy into our practice in the near future, and she's going to help us. Yeah, I can't wait for
Love her.
Watching her grow has been, again, like one of the most incredible parts of my job. So having, people like Tegan help us take that forward.
That's incredible. And hopefully the team below you, as they grow within their passions and what they do, that's awesome. Yeah. So how can people find you? Any of our listeners, obviously loads of females in business listen to this podcast. If they need you, they want you, where can they find you?
So Instagram is probably like where we connect with people the most. So at Fenwick.collective. And then we just have our free consult booking links in the bio. So whether or not it's me or one of my other incredible senior advisors, you'll be able to just book that in. We don't charge for the free consult. So that's probably the best way to get started with us.
Thank you so much for joining me and the listeners today. I just have learnt so much from you, and I definitely just adore you and value you as a friend and in business. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening, listeners, and we will be back in a fortnight with episode number 11.